Big thanks to K&F Concept for sponsoring this week's video. So I'm out for a full day of photography today, right through until sunset, and I thought it would be absolutely great to share my brand new setup for days such as this, when I want to keep the weight down and just enjoy my photography without lugging around tons of gear. So I'm going to be talking about that as we move through today's video, but I am super excited to see what today brings, because I haven't been along this stretch of the coastal path before, and just look at that, looks absolutely stunning. So I'm really excited to see what today brings. So let's crack on. So I've been walking for about 30 minutes when I noticed this scene just along the coast. I was drawn to the people on the beach and how they offered a sense of perspective and scale to the landscape. So I busted out the 70-300 lens, attached my circular polarizer to cut through some of the haze, and framed up my shot. I had to raise my ISO to 400 so I could get a fast enough shutter speed, because the wind was vibrating my camera. At 300mm, every little vibration is accentuated, so I left my IBIS switched on as well to help with that. At the time, I felt like I was clutching at straws with this composition, but it has grown on me a little over time. I quite like the framing and how the blue tones sit well against the orange cliffs. So, inside my bag I've made some big weight saving reductions. Usually I have my Fuji XS10 and my 18-55 lens to film these videos, but I've swapped that out for this, the DJI Action 4, and this K&F mini tripod and selfie stick, which is super light, and I can just stuff this in my pocket, meaning I can grab footage on the go whenever I need to without going into the bag, which is great. And that in itself is a big weight saver. I've also usually bring two full-size tripods, one for filming and one for doing the photography. Now I'm just bringing along one tripod, which is, again, is a big weight saver. For my photography setup, I've gone with the Fuji X-H2, but I've swapped out the 16-55 lens to the 18-55, which again saves a huge amount of weight and keeps, the bulk down as well, because it's a lot smaller, so that's cool. I've also got the 13mm Viltrox lens, which is my wide angle lens of choice, and the 70-300, which is my telephoto lens, which is nice and light and compact. All in all, just in that little bit of a setup there, it's saving me quite a bit of weight, which is great. You might also notice that I've got a new bag and also a new tripod. We'll talk about those a little bit later on in the video. So let's get packed up and let's get cracking with the hike. I'm really enjoying travelling light today. Hardly feels like I've got a bag on my back, which is a complete contrast to how I normally feel if I've been out for several hours. But yeah, really enjoying it. I think it's probably something that I'll be doing more often, because one of the things I dislike about landscape photography, well, probably the only thing I dislike about landscape photography, is carrying a huge amount of weight on my back. Sometimes when I get home I feel absolutely exhausted, and obviously there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm definitely not moaning, but there's obviously ways to rectify that, and if it means taking out less gear, if it means you enjoy the day more, then it's 100% worth doing, isn't it? So I think it's probably something I'm going to be thinking a lot more about going forward. This place is absolutely stunning. Just look at that. Woo. Blue skies, blue water, light winds. Absolutely brilliant. But photographically, it's been a bit of a challenge so far. Super harsh conditions, and really waiting for that light now to swing around over the next few hours, and hopefully more opportunities will present themselves. This area here is just incredible, breathtaking. So in case you're wondering where I'm walking today, we're starting at Marlow Sands on the west coast. and we're walking north to Deer Park, which is roughly a 6-mile round trip. This is a stunning view from here. I'm wondering if there's a photo here. I certainly think there might be one here, looking round this way towards the Gatehome Island and Scottcombe in the background there. I think that might work well maybe for sunset. I think the sun should be around that side, so that might work well, so that's something. So as you know, this video is sponsored by K&F Concept. And along with sponsoring this week's video, they donated 3 pieces of equipment to help me keep the weight down when I'm out on these longer hikes. So if you're not familiar with K&F Concept, they have a wide range of photography accessories such as lens adapters, tripods, camera bags, all sorts of stuff that come at an affordable price point. So as you may have already seen earlier in the video, this is their Beta 20-litre backpack in all black, which I think is super cool. It's lightweight and carries a ton of gear, up to about 21 kilograms to be exact, which is way more than I intend putting into it, but it's reassuring to know that it will handle those kinds of weights. But what I really like about it is that I can access my camera from the side here, so I don't necessarily have to put it down on the wet ground. You know, if I'm at the beach, getting salt water in your bag is not ideal. So yeah, salt water just ruins your kit, doesn't it? There's also a top compartment up here, you know, and it's got some pockets as well for storing batteries and your keys and that type of thing in as well. I think that's really cool. And I can't think of a better looking bag at this price point. I think it looks super cool and it seems to be very well made as well. I've also got this mini tripod for my DJI Action 4, which I mentioned earlier, and also a nice carbon fibre tripod and ball head, which again is light compared to the one I usually bring along. This weighs only 1.3 kilograms and the ball head rotates 360 degrees and will support up to 15 kilograms. The centre column also flips so you can get your camera close to the ground, and the legs splay as well, giving it a super flexible feel. And I've got to say, I love how it fits on the front of this Beta 20-litre backpack. It seems to integrate really well. So I think it's an all-round nice kit. It kind of go together really well. If you're interested in checking out these items from K&F Concept, there's a discounted link for each individual item down in the video description. So I've not had a huge amount of luck this afternoon in terms of finding nice light. However, it's been an absolutely stunning walk. I've probably done about 3 miles or so along this coast here, checking different places out. And I've kind of reached my end point, if you like, before I start returning back down the other end for my sunset potential composition. And I stumbled across this old cottage here that looks across the sea on the other side of the peninsula. And right in the valley, there's a shipping container of some kind. It's perfectly situated in this V, if you like, that we've got here. So yeah, I think there's some very interesting geometrical shapes within this composition, lots of triangles. And it's not something that I usually shoot, this type of photography, but it is something I'd like to do more of because some very interesting buildings along this coastline. Yeah, I really like this. I've been very mindful of positioning my tripod on the most sturdy piece of ground that I possibly can, but it's so spongy. So what I've decided to do is boost my ISO to 250 because it's so windy here. That's given me 160th of a second shutter speed f11. So yeah, just raising the ISO up a little bit, just keeping my shutter speed up, making sure there's no vibrations. It's so windy, it's just ridiculous. And I'm leaving my IBIS turned on as well for this shot. So 2-second timer is on. Let's go ahead, grab this one now. So we're all set up for our sunset shot, and yeah, it may or may not work. I've been working this little scene here for about 20 minutes trying to figure out how to piece the composition together. And the peninsula we've got here just in front of us, I kind of thought the light would be filtering into that area, but it's not at all, which is quite strange. Not what I anticipated, even though the light is coming from that side. So yeah, that's a bit of a strange one. I didn't anticipate that at all, but I may get some nice light on my foreground, so I'm just keeping my eye on things as I do this piece of camera. But yeah, it's a lovely looking scene. The peninsula stretches out towards Stockholm Island there, and the sun's just setting to the right hand side of it. That's kind of what I was hoping for, but I was really hoping that the light would be hitting the inside edge of this peninsula, and it's just not doing that. So yeah, but I'm going to take this shot now. I'll continue to shoot it over the next couple of minutes or so as that sun dips down to the horizon and makes exposing more manageable. So although this area of the coast is absolutely spectacular, I feel like I haven't really done it justice today. The hazy, harsh light was tough to work in. However, it's been a cracking day out and definitely an area I'm going to revisit. So I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to check out the one that's at the top there. Give it a like if you liked it, and why not subscribe for future content. Anyway, take care. I hope to see you all again next week.